There was a kid, and he was very creative and outgoing. So obviously he jumped at the opportunity to audition for the musical that his elementary school was throwing. And he got the lead part because he was also charismatic and he had to sing. And he sang his solo without even thinking, because that's what you do when you're a kid. You don't think. You just let noise come out of you. And he grew up, and he was no longer 9, and he discovered music in a way he hadn't known it before. Music that involved stardom and artistry and writing and a character and people loving you and admiring you and you expressing yourself and being creative. And so he tried to do that instead of not think. He tried to do it obsessively, and he listened to these things obsessively and had such vivid images of the situations within which they would be sung in the circumstances from which they were birthed, and he just wanted to be one of them. But that didn't work out. The imitation of these artists just created horrendous habits, things that sounded terrible, because trying to force your voice into another voice's mold when you're not naturally suited to achieve that results in something of a disaster, apparently. Awful technique, horrendous intonation, just everything bad. Everything bad. They moved out, his family, to a farm at one point, where his family slowly lost communication with each other in the mess of why they're at the farm. It was complicated, long story. But that kid drew more into himself and became increasingly fascinated with music until some sort of breakthrough when they discovered rap music and they discovered artists they truly loved when they approached their teens. And I know it was rap music, but it didn't stop the singing. And now he had a barn, and he'd record himself, and when he'd listen back to the recordings, he'd shudder and be horrified at how far off he was from what he wanted. And he has memories of the awkward stares and the uncomfortable uncertainty of his family, because what are you to do with someone you love that is quietly obsessing over the prospect of becoming something that they will clearly never be and that they should not put stock in, because you see the road to embarrassment, humiliation, failure, all that energy going down a storm drain. The farm ceased to be a thing. The kid was back in the city, and he was going to high school, and he wanted to audition for an art school. He was musical, but couldn't fucking sing. Despite all those labored hours in the barn, seemingly still nothing was going to come of it. But oh, did he insist to audition for singing, because if he's going to a music school and what he truly wants is to be a great vocalist, then god damn it, that's what he will be. His mother advised him against it, said stick to an instrument you know, with eyes that wanted the best for him and deeply didn't want failure to smack her son in the face at this juncture. And he refused, so auditioned for voice. And lo and behold, the school district is desperate for male vocalists. And everything was weird and strange, because things seemed to make sense to most of the other vocalists, and he could pick out who the best ones were. And he got into the ensembles, and he worked hard to seemingly no avail, because all the resources that were being provided to him and his peers seemed to work for his peers, but not for him. But, charismatic. Very good at acting, still. So, got good at that. Ended up starring in a musical, 12th year. A grand success. Performed and tore it down because he's a very good actor. And something about music theater brought out a bit of purity. Whatever it was, some sort of echo from elementary school. Something was slightly more natural on stage and character. Maybe it was that he was a different person and was more focused on being a person than trying to sing like the special self that may or may not be inside of everyone. Graduated high school, hit a rock bottom, mental health spiraled out of control, a reconstruction period. And he did it. He managed. He got back on his feet. He figured out how to function. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of friends, it took a lot of work. He was rebuilt and went to pursue his passion. So he applied for 3 schools: music theater, singing, jazz, the most pure musical option, and art school. Music theater school said he couldn't dance. Music school was just a very clean no. Not even really a letter, it's an email. Art school said, "You're interesting. Come on in." So he went to art school. It wasn't working out, and the biggest thing that he learned was he's going to not be able to move forward if he's not involved in music. Despite the universe seemingly telling him that maybe this isn't for you, he wasn't going to be able to operate unless he got it. So, dropped out of art school. Didn't really drop out actually, just kind of stopped going until no one asked him about it anymore, and enlisted somebody he knew that taught music to give him vocal lessons. They were hard, they were embarrassing a lot of the time, they were complicated and sometimes awkward because someone so good at singing trying to teach someone who was so inconsistent and confused and emotionally twisted up about their relationship with singing is a complicated situation, fluctuating wildly just like his actual performance and mood. But improvements were made. In some areas, things became slightly better. And he auditioned again, not for anywhere except for one place. Jazz school. The same person that 1 year before said to him just before he left, "Well, whether or not you get into this school, it seems like you've got a great head on you." In retrospect, a very clear rejection. And 1 year later, he auditioned for them again, and they said, "You've had some work done." A few weeks later, he got an email, and he opened it, and it said that he was going to be a student at the school he auditioned to be in. And he yelled. Then he worked for the whole summer. And then he attended the school in September. And he had let his ability drop over the course of summer. He stopped practicing because he'd achieved the goal. And showed up for an orientation day that everyone thought was just an orientation day. And it turned out you were also being very briefly evaluated as a musician to be placed into ensembles that were part of the program. And it was embarrassing because the boy was out of practice. And there was a lot of squinting at him by the person that let him into the school after rejecting him once, seemingly as if to consider whether or not they had made a mistake. A mere week later, he finds out he's the only singer in his year in the school that was not in a singing ensemble. He was in an ensemble that was the second ensemble for all the other singers. The throwaway one, the kind of funny one, the little strange younger cousin. And it was his only horn. And him in his heart the truth, which is that he's not there because he's a good singer like these other people. He's there because of the demonstrable element of him, which is that if you reject him, in a year he'll come back stronger. If he's going to be getting better, you might as well be doing it with your resources. And then today, he finished first semester at the school, and a week ago exactly, he sang a song for his vocal master class, and people were impressed. And that lady that rejected him told him that she's thrilled to see the progress, that that's why he's here, and that he has a great voice. How about that?